Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode, How to Introduce Guaranteed Income Without Saying Annuity. What we're going to do is go over a few things as far as personal pensions. It's kind of the nomenclature I like to use, and how to structure annuities in your case and propose more of the solution or the scenario outcome than the actual product. A lot of times when we stay product agnostic, it kind of helps us stay more aligned with the client goals, and allows us to kind of be more of an advocate than a product pusher, if you will. So the first thing I'll start off with, guys, we're sponsored here today by Penny Insurance and the A Team. And life insurance opportunities rarely disappear because clients lack interest or because solutions aren't appropriate. More often, strong cases slow down or fall apart due to the operational demands required to move them from conversation to placement. Gathering client information, completing applications, managing requirements, coordinating underwriting, and maintaining follow up can quickly become overwhelming. Even highly successful producers often find themselves pulled away from revenue generating activities just to keep cases moving forward. When follow up becomes inconsistent or timelines stretch too long, momentum can fade. Clients become distracted, decisions are delayed, and opportunities that should have resulted in placed business are lost due to the process rather than the strategy. The solution? Our back office here at Penny, the Penny A Team. Penny A Team is a dedicated group of specialists designed to function as an operational extension of your practice. Once you identify an opportunity and make a warm introduction, the A Team helps manage the implementation process from start to finish. This includes guiding the client through the application process, coordinating underwriting, and supporting the path to policy approval and delivery. So, how does A Team support your business? We assist with and help lead client conversations when needed to ensure clarity and professionalism, manage application completion and documentation requirements to reduce administrative burden, coordinate with carriers and underwriting teams through an experienced case management group with 45 plus years of combined experience. We track requirements, monitor progress, and maintain consistent communication throughout the underwriting process. We'll proactively follow up to keep cases moving toward approval and placement. What does this mean for your agents? You're going to spend less time managing paperwork, requirements, and carrier communication. You'll be able to stay focused on the highest value activities, building relationships, advising clients, and identifying new opportunities. You'll maintain full ownership of the client relationship while the operational team works behind the scenes on your behalf. We'll improve case momentum, placement rates, and overall client experience, and help you scale production without hiring additional internal staff or increasing operational complexity. The goal is to help agents place more business, create a smoother experience for clients, and enable advisors to scale their practice efficiently and sustainably. With that being said, we'll kind of jump into some of our responses here. As you can see, apparently somebody's singing my praises here. And we're a great addition to the team. We try to convey as much knowledge and professionalism as we can to help you guys place more cases. And Cyrus is actually one of our end zone brethren that we've also done a little work for on his exit. He gave us a pretty great review as well. Without that, I'll kind of jump into the disclosure. So, guys, this material is provided for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as and should not be relied upon as tax, legal, or financial advice. You should consult with your qualified tax advisor, attorney, or financial professional regarding your specific situation before making any decisions. Strategies discussed may not be suitable for everyone and are subject to change based on laws, regulations, and individual circumstances. That, guys, we'll start to jump in, and without any further ado, here's the deal. A lot of times when we talk to people, try to position something about retirement income or creating an income stream, some people can get a little apprehensive when they hear the word annuity. A lot of buzzword around that. So what I do typically, I like to position that it's a personal pension. I do use the word annuity at some point in the sale, but really what we want to focus on is the scenario outcome and how it benefits the client instead of just pushing the product as a solution. A lot of people, it's just how it's introduced. So if you make it a fairly organic conversation, we can avoid some of those pitfalls. So shift the approach. Start with what matters to the client, not the individual product. A lot of people right now, pre-retirees, they're looking for either safe accumulation or they're looking for an income stream that will pay them a paycheck for the rest of their life. The stability in uncertain times right now really means a lot more to people than the actual product. What they want to know is that they're not going to outlive their money. They want to have that long-term confidence in a plan that's going to last as long as you do. So basically what we're going to do is kind of talk to them about what do we need to do to create income for life? What do we need to do to kind of safeguard that money with maybe a cap and a floor over the next few years before they're getting to that withdrawal phase? And then what does that withdrawal phase look like for them moving forward? What clients actually want, they're not looking for complexity. What they're looking for is clarity. They want to know that they have predictable income in their retirement phase that they can rely on. They want protection from market volatility, especially right now when we are, soiled with, tons of geopolitical events, volatile markets, volatile bond markets, and as well as, inflation. They want to have some confidence in their plan that it's going to hold through and weather the storms of, the current market cycle. And they want something fairly simple that they can understand and kind of, take the concept and understand exactly what they're getting for what they're putting in. At the end of the day, the clients are more interested in the plan that feels simple, secure, and lasting than they are in some fancy product. So language does matter. How you say it determines how it's received. If I go in there and start talking about air and participation rates and caps and floors and all of the different riders, I'm probably going to lose them at some point. They're either going to fall asleep or I'm going to completely confuse them. Instead, I want to keep it fairly simple, make it relatable, and tie it to a real life outcome. How is that going to affect them as far as their retirement withdrawal phase? Clear conversations often are going to lead to stronger trust, better outcomes, and more rapport. So some of the better opening questions. Start with questions that create clarity. What would it mean to have income you can't outlive? Great question. How important is stability compared to growth? Also, it kind of lets you know whether you're going to be looking at something that's pure accumulation or is pure income benefit. Would it help to have part of your income guaranteed? Maybe they want to diversify from their qualified stock, account or their 401k, and maybe put a portion of it in guaranteed income so they can kind of ride the ebbs and flows of the market predictably and be able to count on the money that's coming in. So reframing the conversation. Don't lead with the product, lead with the solution. Instead of, this is an annuity, position it as, this is a strategy designed to create predictable income regardless of market conditions. You're going to want to focus on outcomes. You're going to be able to build trust and rapport faster because you're solving a problem, and you're going to create lasting confidence in that plan. So, second part of that is build the bridge. Guide the conversation with intention. Basically, we're going to identify the concern. The client is afraid of, hey, I'm worried that I might outlive my retirement accounts. That's the concern. Aligning with that. Well, what's the desired outcome? Well, I need predictable income so I know that home and hearth are covered throughout that phase. And then also introduce the solution fairly naturally. Okay, so what I'm hearing is you're worried about outliving your income. You're worried about being able to have a sustainable and predictable paycheck. These are the concerns. What I'm going to introduce to you is something called a personal pension or an income stream. Two example flows. So let's say income stability. The client concerned, they're worried about outliving their savings and at the risk of being redundant, let's say, what if part of your income was guaranteed for as long as you live? That's going to be a great question to use. The outcome is we create a foundation of guaranteed income so you can enjoy today without losing sleep and worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. And the focus is on peace of mind through income that you cannot live. Another one, big one right now, especially in the market cycles that we're in, market volatility. Client concerns. They're uncertain about market up and downs. Now, for a 35-year-old or 40-year-old that is dollar cost averaging for the next 20 or 30 years, it's probably not a big concern. But when you're talking to somebody who's 55 or 56 and they're looking to retire right on the dot of 59 and a half, they need to get something that's fairly predictable and know where they're going to be at for the next 3 to 4 years, in which a personal pension or annuity can be a great solution. So the client would say, the market is so unpredictable, I just want something stable. What if you had a portion of that income that didn't depend on the market at all, and either a fixed or maybe a multi-year guarantee? The outcome will build stability into your plan so market fluctuations don't impact your essential income. And we'll focus on that stability today and the confidence in any market tomorrow. Now, those are two very different concerns, same goal and same solution in creating confident, predictable income. So, positioning the strategy. Position guaranteed income as a foundation, not as a replacement. We want to create stability with that plan, and we want to complement that market-based investments. Let's say they have some non-qualified accounts. So they have plenty of stuff in separately managed accounts or in stock accounts, 401k, 403b, you name it. What we can do is reduce some of that uncertainty over time by shifting some of those assets over in a diversified plan to an annuity or a personal pension, as we would say. It builds a strong financial foundation. It creates confidence that lasts, and it allows them to kind of ride and weather the storms of market volatility in those stock accounts because the portion that they need for their withdrawal income is guaranteed. So why does this work? When the message is clear, everything improves. It gets them a faster understanding. Clients grasp that value quickly when it's simple and relevant to their particular situation. They're going to have less resistance. It's going to be clear, relatable conversations that reduce skepticism and objections. Stronger engagement. These clients stay more involved with when these conversations are about their goals and not the pitching of a product. And it's a more meaningful decision. When clients understand the why, they make those decisions with confidence and are more likely to do business with you. Common mistakes. So here's where most conversations will break down. When you lead with products, starting with the solution puts the focus on the product, not the client. What we want to do is keep the client in mind. We want to be their chief problem solver and take those problems and create a scenario where we can take them out of the equation utilizing either a personal pension or annuity. You don't want to overload them with features. Too much information creates confusion and shuts down the conversation. If somebody's talking to me about their anxiety about not having enough to live on in retirement or starting to see the ebbs and flows of the market, the last thing they want to hear about is 5 or 6 brand new pitches on brand new writers. It's not going to usually end up in a great result. If you want to talk about writers, you talk about them after you kind of solve the problem, depending on what they're going on. There are some instances where if their concern is LTC and they wouldn't be able to qualify for long-term care otherwise, then at that point, you might mention an LTC writer backed by an annuity would be a good solution. You want to skip the emotional driver. Ignoring what really matters to the client leads to surface level conversations that are probably not going to lead to the buy-in or the commitment that you need to get the business done. Once again, better conversations start with clarity and not the product. So here's the call to action. Clarity drives better conversations. You're going to lead with the outcome. What is the client looking to avoid? Are they looking to avoid the market volatility a few years before they get to retirement? Or are you looking to create a stream of guaranteed income after 59 and a half that supports their lifestyle without them having to draw down assets in a negative sequence of returns? We want to make sure that's a fairly simple message. Start with those two and then let the solution kind of follow naturally. Guys, here at Penny, we do short and long-term disability, annuities, LTC, life insurance, health insurance, and retirement solutions, as well as P&C and group solutions. The annuities, one of the great things about them now, we now have combined products that you can solve some long-term care needs with annuities that you would not otherwise be able to get them underwritten with a standalone LTC program. Guys, if you have any, and we will open up for questions. If you have any pressing concerns or questions, I'm always available to you. This is my personal cell phone number. Feel free to give me a shout. I've talked to several in-zone owners over the last 3 or 4 days that called me on my personal cell phone and helped them through applications. I always stand ready to help you guys write business and fill out apps. No worries there. And then there's my email address as well. You're more than welcome to shoot questions there. If you need illustrations or you just need case support or somebody to jump on a Zoom to help you walk through something with a client, I am more than happy. That's what I do. I am paid salary. I'm not trying to take any piece of your commission. My only goal is to make sure that InZone has brand recognition. We're not sending somebody down to Joe Blow and getting everything requoted in 6 months, and that they want to do business with you for the rest of their lives. Other than that, guys, I saw a couple questions in the chat box. I'm going to let Christopher kind of set those up and tee them up. What do you got? You got any questions for me?
Sure. The first question that came in, how does Penny help with annuity business on the back end? That's a great question.
It is. Absolutely. So on the back end, what we'll do, well, it starts at the front end, but we'll help you with the case design. We'll help you structure out what that income looks like or what that accumulation strategy looks like. But also, what I'm happy to come in and do is help them kind of calculate, hey, what's your first year Medicare premiums? What tax bracket and income level do you need to be at to keep those level? What income level do you need to be at to not mess with the Medicare premiums or IRMA? And how do you stay within a reasonable tax bracket without overloading your income against what your needs are? All of those things we do, but after the fact, we would help you fill out the app. We'll send it to the carrier and processing, and then we'll help you get the thing issued, as well as the delivery notices done as well.
And the next question, what are common objections associated with annuities?
Common objections are usually due to liquidity. Let's say they need liquidity, or they need to be able to pull money out, or maybe they're not ready to annuitize, but they do want to protect. Why not just do a CD? Well, I'll tell you why. Because often our rates are going to beat bank rates, and you're not going to have any liquidity with a CD either, and there are penalties. Whereas within most annuity chassis these days, we are able to create a personal pension where you can pull at least 10% of the overall assets out in any given year. So you do have some ways to pull money out without being forced to annuitize and having some free flow of those assets as well. Or in worst case scenario, we might seek a liquidity rider or a type of contract that would not penalize you heavily for having to surrender the policy to access all the money in the case of a major life event.
And we had a few people request slides. If you want a copy of the slides, you feel free to reach out to Charles directly at his email. And I put his email in chat.
So Maddie actually requested the slides, and I will get those out to you this afternoon. Happy to.
So thanks so much, Charles, and thanks everyone for joining. We'll be providing a recording to everyone that registered, and also be sure to check out our other webinars. This is actually part of our educational webinar series, which is every Thursday at 12 p.m. PST. So thanks again to everyone that was able to join.
Guys, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Feel free to fire questions at either by text or email or by phone. I stand at the ready to help you solve any income issues and also help you plan out these strategies so you can better serve your clients. Appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.